Hello friends, and welcome to another colour along. Today we're colouring Mr Fogherty from Lost in Time, and we are going to colour this page, Alien Intervention. Mr Fogherty has broken the space-time continuum, and we coloured in that time-space conundrum in a previous colour along. Here he is meeting himself, which is what caused the break, and he's being sucked into a vortex. And we're colouring this alien intervention because September is also Space-tember. So I'm going to colour in a space-themed illustration. And we've got Mr Fogherty, and here he is floating in space. He seems unconscious, but he's still happily holding onto his pipe, and Snail's with him. And he's being saved by this friendly alien. Not all aliens are out there trying to attack you, and this one seems to be wanting to help. So where I think we'll start with this is we'll start with Mr Fogherty's skin, because his skin is the colour that can't change. So I think we'll need to go back to where we were. I think maybe a lemon green. What do you think? Or a celery yellow. I think maybe we did celery yellow for his underbelly, and maybe an apple green for his skin. We'll start there and see how we go. All right, I'm just looking at my colours here, and just thinking that is too much yellow in that celery yellow, so I'm going to pull it back a bit to the celadon green, which is this lighter one, just because I don't want my different pictures of Mr Fogherty to be in different greens. All right, I'm going to start with the lighter one, the celadon green. And then I'm going to come in with the apple green. Just making sure to leave his spots nice and light. I just want to blend that in with the lighter colour, with the celadon. All right, this is a good start. Now I'm going to bring the darker one in, the apple green. The back of his hands will be that apple green, but the palm of his hands and under his fingers. So I'm just going to try and get a little bit of that lighter green showing through. But not a lot. On this hand it will be different because we're seeing more of his underhand. Not that he's underhanded. I'm not saying that, not about Mr Fogherty. No, no, no. Don't get me wrong, guys. Now let's check out, because I want continuity in my book, I better check out how I coloured him before. And he is wearing socks, so I'm not going to give him green ankles. Though he does seem to have changed up his fashion a little bit as he's rolled through. No, he hasn't. He's got the same thing on. I don't think you really have to colour him the same through the whole book, but I guess if you want your book to sort of follow a storyline, you could. I think I will for the clothes he's wearing here. All right, I'm going to start with my mauve shadow. And then bring in our pale hibiscus. Yeah, maybe I'll do it the other way around. On the pants, we'll do the pale hibiscus first. And then bring in our mauve shadow. Some pale hibiscus cuffs should be in order. I'm going to bring in a little bit of a darker colour. This is purple mallow. Have here is a greyish cherry. So he's got a nice light pink shirt on and a matching vest. I just switched to a finer nib. All right, bringing in some yellow because I know he's got some, this is melon yellow, because he's got gold trim on a lot of his stuff. I think his collar, from memory, was a bit gold. I think his pipe maybe has some gold bits on it. And of course his stopwatch is going to be gold. I'm going to bring that celadon green in because I've just realised he's got closed eyes. Mr Fogherty falling asleep with his closed eyes. All right, I have this colour called Orchid Smoke, and I think that's the colour that I'm going to do his hat. So it's in line with the colour of his suit. It's just a bit darker. I'm thinking a little bit of red bean paste just to bring some shadows into that. Back to our orchid smoke, sorry. Oh, and you know what? I've forgotten to put a sheet of something behind here. Let that be a lesson to you people. Always check. I've got a big mark there. I have to wipe that out later on. Right, going back to my orchid smoke for his shoes. I'm bringing some of that red bean paste in for his soles and just for some shadows. Oh, I think he needs some vermilion. Vermilion for his cravat there, or whatever it is, tie. And then some red bean paste just to darken that up a bit. Let's grab some apple green and make this a little emerald. And I'm pretty sure he's got a light hot pink band around his hat. I've got some taffy here just for this pipe. I've got a blue-grey for his spats. I think that's what those are. And I think a warm grey 160 for his socks. Warm grey 050. Just because I want to add some shadow into there. Right, because we're in space, and maybe not only in space, but maybe between dimensions, thinking the smoke from his pipe could be slightly pink tinged. So I'm going with that greyish cherry. And I'm just going to start by colouring that whole thing in that greyish cherry. It'll tie in beautifully with his suit and shirt and help us to tie this illustration all together. As much as you can when you're in space, really. Mr Fogherty doesn't seem too concerned. He's got a little smile on his face. I think he's an optimist, you know. Things seem to turn out well for him overall. Right, I'm going to bring back that warm grey 50 we used just in there. And I just want to bring in some dimensionality to our smoky border. Right, I've got Mr Fogherty now in line with how he is in the rest of the book. And now I'm going to take on Snail. So I've got terracotta. I'm going to do his shell first. I was thinking about making terracotta the base colour. And the trick to these, when you're colouring in big spaces, is to keep going so it becomes like a wave, because if you let anything dry, you get lines, and it's not what we want. Okay, and now while that's still wet, I'm going to bring in some brun. This is brun. It's a darker version of that. I just want to add in some shadowy bits around the shell here. And I'm going to put some sort of snail shells sort of have that stripe. Well, this snail's shell does have that stripe. Beautiful. All right, so we've got his shell. And I'm going to use this colour called Morin just for a lighter edge to his shell. Right, I've got to do the snail's body now. I've got two colours here. I've got champagne and lipstick natural. And champagne is a lighter colour. I'm just going to do his little lip there. And then bring in that lipstick natural. And even going a little bit darker with a bit of dark brown. And bring back some lipstick natural just to sort of blend it in. Champagne. Now I was trying to remember back to that previous illustration I did of Mr Fogherty. And I think he was coloured in Derwent Inktense. So no wonder I can't remember the colours I did him in, because I used an entirely different medium. But I think this goes to show you that it doesn't matter what medium you're using, you can still find really good solutions to your colour problems. Alright, let's bring in that dark brown. So a little bit of a dark brown in that, just around that lip there, and then on his back, whilst leaving some of those dots light. And then just to mix it all together, that lipstick natural. All right, I think where we're at now is we need to pick a colour for the sky. Space, the final frontier. What are we thinking? Some really nice dark blue maybe. What do you think, a Prussian blue? Yeah, I think a Prussian blue. We don't want a too blue. Go Prussian blue and maybe blend it out a bit to vivid blue maybe. Prussian blue, vivid blue. If you're ever in doubt, get a scrap bit of paper and just put your colours there and see. I think those two colours are going to work. It's a very subtle blend. It could be fun. I think maybe we start with our lighter blue, our vivid blue. Or do we start with our Prussian blue and go lighter? Maybe we start with our Prussian blue and go lighter. It's always a little bit nail biting when you're filling in a huge space like that. And even though it's a huge space, I want to get these details correct, so I'm going to get my fine nib out. It is space, but I didn't just want to go black. I'm glad I got the backing paper in before I did this section. All right, now we're into a huge space. Let me just get my nib out. Just play with my Antwerp blue for a minute here around this star. And again with the Antwerp blue, maybe this could be a fun way to give those stars and planets a little bit of a glow. Back to our Antwerp blue. All right, Prussian blue. You know, I'm going to bring in my Antwerp blue here. Maybe this is a good place to start that blend. I think the same thing with this side. It's got to blend through there. So bring our Prussian blue back in. And switch over to our Antwerp. I guess we're going to work out what colour to bring into our alien. It's going to be the challenge. All right, I'm just going to bring the fat nib in because I really want to get this blend happening. I'm going to leave space around these things because I'll go down to a lighter blue even, because I sort of like this glowing star stuff we got going on down here. And look, here's Mr. Fogherty's time machine, spinning through space. It really could have been a tragic end for him, apart from this benevolent alien intervention. Let's see how we go with our smoky blue. Not really the lighter colour I was looking for. We'll see how it dries. Right, back to our vivid blue. And we'll just finish off this space. Now you could have done the whole background sky in just one colour. Either one of those colours would have worked. So if you're not up to doing a 2-colour sky, don't worry about it. Do a 1-colour sky. Right, I've got these bubbles and I've got these helmets. Now this is going to be our challenge, isn't it? Because we want those to be nice and light. So I need a blue that's nice and light. You know what? I'm going to go right down to a frost blue. All right, I've got my frost blue. Let's just play with this bubble. I'll leave those white reflections white. You know what? I'm going to bring in, at this stage, a colourless blender, because I want to just blend that into nothing maybe. And then I'm going to bring in a turquoise blue. Back to our frost blue, just to bulk up that edge there. Make our bubbles look like bubbles. You know, I've missed a bit. Let's go my Prussian blue back, because there's a bit there that I missed. All right, let's bring out that frost blue. Just check that I've got frost blue and not Prussian blue, because that would be a tragedy. All right, frost blue, let's play with a bit of turquoise blue there. Let's bring in our colourless blender. I don't know what these bubbles are from. Where are our bubbles from? Bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. We've got a vat of something here. Maybe that's what it is. It's spilled out and turned into space bubbles. Turquoise blue. And a bit of colourless blender. This colourless blender's got a little bit of yellow from previous blend. And that's just really working well with those bubbles. Let's add some of that in down here too. A happy coincidence. And a colourless blender. Fortuitous, a little bit of greeny yellow. Who knows what I was blending? Well, it's worked well on those bubbles. So I think what we do is, I'm going to go this frost blue on here. I think what we do is the same thing for our helmets, or a similar thing for our helmets. So starting with our frost blue, let's just do the border frost blue. I'm going to leave these white as much as possible. All right, frost blue. A little bit of turquoise blue, maybe just around the edge here. Bit of colourless blender. And maybe if you don't have your colourless blender pre-primed with a yellow, you could throw a bit of lemon chiffon or a light yellow, like that. Colourless blend that to I think that even looks better. Should have done that from the start. All right, Mr. Fogherty's almost helmet. So I'm using my frost blue. I'm wondering if do I cover his head with that frost blue? What do you think? Just to knock that colour back. All right, there's our frost blue. Let's bring in some of that lemon chiffon just for the fun of it, and turquoise blue. What do you think, people? Where's my colourless blender? Quick, bring it in before it all dries. All right. All we've got left is this little alien. And I'm going to do the same thing for his helmet. Frost blue. I'm going to leave his head uncoloured for the moment. Frost blue, a little bit of that lemon chiffon. Turquoise blue, just to add in a little bit more depth. And bring it all together with our colourless blender. All right, it's starting to come together, guys. Now I'm just going to bring my vivid blue because I realised in my rush I didn't do all the fine detail around this little time machine. Well, I don't know if you can hear that. Someone's stunt planes doing loops over my house. Maybe it's an alien. And while I'm filling in gaps, here's another one. Prussian blue. Now I'm going to adjust this illustration a little. This alien, he's got spots on his face. But I think I've got a waterproof UniPin Fineliner. It's about a 0.7. I'm just going to add in more spots on our alien because it's just not enough of a challenge to colour him in without also leaving the spots blank. You don't have to do this, but why not? I think he just looked more fun, spotty. I'm going to go all the way to the end of his legs. I'm just going to go sort of halfway down his legs. Little spots, big spots. And do you know what I think? I think I'm going to bring back the same colours we used for Mr Fogherty, because aliens should be green, shouldn't they? Maybe that's why he's sort of helping Mr Fogherty out. He loves his skin tones. What do you think? You like my theory? First of all, I'm going to get my celery yellow, which is sort of a yellowy green. Do those spots, sort of yellowy green. What do you think? Do you think the spots were an improvement? A polka dot alien, maybe. And I'm going to do these little eye buds. Going to match his spots. Maybe his lip. Now, I think Celadon green was the green I used for Mr Fogherty, wasn't it? For his underbelly, for his lighter parts. And apple green was for more of his shadowy parts. So let's bring some of that apple green in. Oh, starting to come together. Look at the love in these eyes. Mr Fogherty, he's just spreading love through the universe, through the cosmos. Back to our Celadon green. And apple green, I'm just going to make that darker in towards. Well, let's keep rolling that out with the Celadon and the apple on all of his limbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6. A 6-legged alien. Was he trying to get Mr. Fogherty to pay with a credit card or something? Oh no, that's our controller, isn't it? It's his remote control for his time machine that he got from the future somewhere. Oh, I can't remember my own stories. For a moment there, I thought he was trying to... It's like a tow truck, a cosmic tow truck service. Oh, you're lost in space. Just flash your credit card details here and we'll get you straight back to a petrol station close to you. It's almost like this alien's in his pyjamas. His happy green and yellow polka dot pyjamas for winter with fleece. Right, bringing the apple green back out. All right, we need a colour for his suction cups. I want to go something really light because we've got our lemon greens and we've got our celadon greens, like a crescent yellow. Let's go with a crescent yellow. Hopefully it's nice and light, but still within that spectrum of colours that we've got the green. Bringing back my apple green because I think he needs some nice dark eyebrows that are floating above his head. And bringing back our frost blue. So I just want to do some shadows on his eyes in that frost blue. All right, now I'm going to look behind because we did that in sort of greys. So let's keep on track with that. Here's this warm grey that we did his socks. So maybe we bring that warm grey 050 back into this little device, which is being saved for him. Maybe a little bit of turquoise blue for that. Some yellow chiffon maybe in there. Right, now all I've got is this little guy here. This little time machine. I'm not sure I've coloured the time machine. I've got some brass bits on it with that melon yellow. And I think some vermilion. I'm sure he's painted it a lovely colour, so maybe the frame carriage is red. I'm sure there'd be red in this spinning top. Got turquoise green for the base. And I've got my Morin, which is sort of a bit of leather colour maybe in there. You know what? I think Celadon green and apple green are going to work really well for the... I was imagining this was like a spinning stained glass contraption. Right, I just want to add some shadows in now. So I've got a neutral grey 041. I'm thinking this will be warm enough to just give us some shadows. Just really want to bring out some shadows. I think in space, the shadows are really going to be pronounced. We need shadows on Snail too. Just enhance the ones around here. All right, I'm bringing some Polychromos into play, and I have here my cadmium yellow lemon 205, and I'm wanting just to play with a little bit of... I want to put some spin on this, so it looks like the time machine is sort of spinning through space. This is a lovely greenish yellow, which should tie in with a little bit of our skin colours that we've got going on. Yeah, we're bringing in a more earthy yellow. This is dark Naples ochre. I think we need a little bit of highlighting on a snail shell here. I'm going to bring my white pencil in. Just add some little bits of highlights in. Maybe even Mr Fogherty needs some highlighting in our white pencil. We're a really light blue here, light cobalt turquoise. I'm wondering about just adding a little bit more subtlety to our glow around our stars. Maybe even some still glowing spots in space. What do you think? I'm going to add some of that blue to the swooshing that's coming from the back of that. I'm liking this glow. Let's put some around Snail. All right, I've got a really dark Prussian blue. I know that was what we used, but maybe this is a bit darker. Prussian blue on Prussian blue. Just make those edges just a little bit darker. And some Hooker's green. Let's just add a little bit more dimensionality into Mr Fogherty. And we're really just fine-tuning at this stage. We're just playing because it's fun. Right, I have a jelly roll, but you could use any sort of white pen. And I just want to, I've got a little bit of bleeding into my stars. So I just want my stars to really be sharp edged. So I'm going to do that with my white ink pen. I was tempted to do it with like a silver. I think white's going to go. I think silver might muddy it in a little bit. And I just think maybe we'll make these bubbles, make the whites the white and get rid of the black line off that. I'll just sell that bubble a bit more for us. All right, I'm just trying to rest my hand without smudging what I've already done. And while I'm here, I'm just going to highlight some things because I can't help myself. I think a few little highlights on our time machine wouldn't hurt, would they? Oh, I've smudged. I tried not to, but I did. Sounds like the beginning of a musical. I tried not to, but I did. All right, we're almost there. I think what we need is some stars. You could get sort of like a paintbrush and flick these on. I'm just going to use my ink pen here to add in some stars. Some bigger ones and some smaller ones. Try and get your stars in space, not on your alien. You just random pattern these. And you know what? I think we're finished. Alien intervention. Mr. Fogherty, Lost in Space and Lost in Time. If you don't have Lost in Time, you can grab this illustration from the September Colour Club pack at rjhampson.com, which contains all of the illustrations that I'll be colouring in September. And as always, Mr. Fogherty has been a joy to colour with. And I'm really happy with the green alien saving the green frog. And the little bubbles that are floating in space. It's my first nod to Space Timber. Really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed colouring along with me, with Mr. Fogherty in space. And I look forward to seeing you in another video. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye. See you in another video. Bye.